Hello, thanks a lot for joining us. I'm Mike from JoJo Tea, and today we're going to talk about tea to water ratio. You know, a question that we get asked a lot is how much tea should I be using when I want to make some tea? So today we're going to go over 4 different methods. We'll go over a standard teapot of about 16 ounces. We'll go over the most informal and easy way to brew tea. It's called grandpa style. We'll go over the most formal way to brew tea, gong fu style. And then we'll go over cold brewing, which is a very popular and convenient brewing method that has its own benefits. We'll go over all of these, and hopefully by the end you'll have a more thorough sense of how to brew tea, regardless of how you want to do so. So we'll start off with our standard teapot. This is a 16-ounce glass teapot, and the tea that we're going to use today for this teapot is Yunnan Gold. It's a handmade black tea from Simao in the Yunnan province. Now, for a 16-ounce teapot, it really does depend on how many times you want to be able to steep the tea, how long you have, you know. If you have a whole afternoon and you expect to be drinking tea with your friends for a long time, then you want to use a lot of tea, right? This is 1 heaping tablespoon. It'll end up being about 4.4 grams of tea, which is great for 1 or 2 brews for a 16-ounce pot. If you know that you're going to be drinking tea for a while and you want to have the freedom of being able to steep the same teapot more times back to back, then you'd want to use 1.5 tablespoons or 2 tablespoons and just lower your brew time a little bit, right? That way you'd be able to get a little bit more out of those leaves and out of that pot. Right away you can see the red color of the tea, giving us a sense of how quickly it's going to be infusing, right? The next style that we're going to discuss is grandpa style. Now, grandpa style is the most easy way, where you never actually remove the tea leaves from the water, okay? Now, because you never remove the tea leaves from the water, you kind of want to be careful not to put too much tea in there. So this is one of our most tightly compacted, tightly rolled teas. It's Everspring Oolong. A lot of Taiwanese oolongs are really tightly rolled. So we'll do about 3/4, a half or 3/4 of a tablespoon. That'll end up being about 4.5 grams, 4.6 grams we have here. We'll put it in our cup. A good rule of thumb is just to make sure that you cover the bottom of the cup, and then we'll pour directly. As you drink this tea and the water level goes down, you can just refill with hot water and continue to refill for as many infusions as you'd like. Now from here we'll go to gong fu tea, and gong fu really means your practice and application of a particular skill, right? So gong fu tea is something that you can study for the rest of your life, and really to try and say, oh, in 1 minute here's how to do gong fu tea, it's a little crazy. So I'm going to kind of strip it down to its raw basics, but you can expect a more in-depth look at gong fu tea from us in the future. For now, look at your teapot. The real message, the real point behind gong fu tea is being able to brew the same tea many times back to back in an informal atmosphere, okay? Now, for a teapot like this, this tea in particular is our Wu Shan Qilan. Qilan is a charcoal roasted oolong. The leaves are kind of big and fluffy. So we'll want to fill up the teapot to about 1/3 or 1/2, because they won't infuse that much. They won't grow that much in size when they infuse. If it were a tighter, more ball-rolled oolong, for example, then you'd only want to fill the pot about 1/5. So let's measure that out. The more you practice gong fu tea, the better you'll be at eyeballing tea, you know? The less scales you'll need, the better you'll be able to maneuver tea. That's why gong fu tea is called gong fu tea. It's developing your skill of working with the tea leaf. So something like that. That's about 1/3 of a teapot. So that was 2 heaping tablespoons. And then we'll finish up with cold brewing tea. Now, a good rule of thumb with cold brewing tea is to use about 1 ounce of tea per gallon. This is about the size of a bottle of wine, and for this we used 1 big heaping tablespoon. Okay. Another good rule of thumb is always, if you're using black tea, you want to go a little bit more. If you're using green tea, you want to go a little bit less, because green tea has so many tannins in it. It can be it can get quite bitter, you know. So for this one in particular, For this pot here that's already brewed, we use 7.5 grams. To show you, I'll use 1 heaping tablespoon here. This is a fairly dense green tea. And that ends up being 7 grams. I'll put 7 grams right in here and hit it with cold water. And the cold brewing method is also really great for specifically for teas that you've already brewed and you want to get you don't want to just throw them out. You know, if you've only brewed a tea once in a gongfu teapot, so you know that there's a lot more juice in those leaves and you're not ready to just throw it out, cold brewing is a really great solution to make sure that you are getting the most out of those leaves. So you'll empty the pot into your cup, you'll put it in the fridge overnight, and the next morning you'll have a beautiful iced tea. So that was kind of an overview of a few different methods of brewing tea. Shoot us a message, DM us, comment any way that with any questions. We're here to be of service to you, and our mission is just to help you guys learn how to make good tea. So thanks a lot for tuning in, and we look forward to next time. Cheers.